Hi, and welcome to Bullseye. I am Darek Sharp. Next to me, Caylee Cottrell and BJ Daniels. This is the first show of what is going to be a full year's worth of shows where, yes, we're going to talk to head football coach Alex Golesh. We'll also speak with Blue-Eli today, but we're going to do more than just that. We'll tee it up for you here in just a second, and Coach Golesh will be joining us momentarily. But I want to flesh out, I hope you guys know who I am. I do, and I have been now for, this is year 7, all the radio side of things. It's called Bulls Unlimited. We'll hype that up some other time, but you're here to not just hear some football, but meet our contestants, as it were. I'm the guy that's maybe a little bit older than them and definitely never going to be the best dressed. Let's start off with Caylee. Now, people do recognize you, obviously, but a little background. You did school here as well, and,
I did.
And you've been the inside reporter, the insider, for a few years.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in San Diego, California. My family moved to Phoenix for about 5 years and realized quickly we had to get back to the water. We missed it too much, but I started my journalism studies at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism there, and that's where I fell in love with sports journalism. Transferred to USF.
Right.
Finished my last 2 years here, and it's been so special to be able to cover the teams that I was, supporting as a student. My alma mater. It's super special. This university and these programs have such a special place in my heart, for sure. So I've been doing it a couple of years now, and it's something that doesn't feel like a job to me. It's a happy place. So.
Always putting out incredible videos, and you get a lot of inside information for her. Now, let me get this straight. San Diego, Phoenix, Tampa. So when you did the cold tub interview, was that Gunnar Greenwald?
It was.
Was that your first time in your life you've ever been cold?
You know what? Pretty dang close, because I've only been in snow probably about 5 times in my life. Never a cold tub, though.
Which was ridiculous, by the way. I would never do that.
And did you immediately regret it? It was my idea, too, and I was regretting it about that much. First toes went in, but we had a good time, and body did feel good afterwards, though, I have to say.
You're not selling me on it, but you are the best method reporter I've seen.
I even asked a bunch of guys that walked by before. I'm like, did you have any strategies? What should I do? And they were like, just full send it. I mean, I kind of eased in a little bit, but I never got the socks trick. And then I asked Gunnar, he's like, you don't have socks on? I was like, no one told me to wear socks.
Full send, first of all, good use. I would have been 1/10 send. BJ Daniels, you know the actual benefit of a cold tub. Did you guys actually look forward to that stuff?
I know the benefit of it, but I've never experienced it.
What?
Throughout my entire career,
Really?
I wasn't tough enough to get in the cold tub. So I always did the sauna, I always did the cryotherapy chambers and things like that. But cold tub is not my thing. So kudos to you.
Thank you, appreciate it. It was fun. We had a good time, though.
You have that over Mr. Daniels. Now, I think people know what you did as a player for the University of South Florida, and got to say, big fan. A lot of people are. But explain first of all, your title. Can you recite it? It's very impressive.
Yeah.
And what it entails these days.
So the Assistant Director of Donor, Community, and Alumni Engagement. Long title. All it means is I try to help our players get out in the community, whether that's community service things or getting our community back involved, whether that's tickets to games. The alumni aspect, I'm over the varsity club, so making sure our alumni feel like they're still included with tickets, with gear. We have a tailgate this Saturday. But yeah, and then just raising money for this football stadium we're about to build.
Well, first of all, you mentioned tickets. Anyone asking for tickets for the second home game, or is that like?
No, I've not had one person ask for Alabama game.
Just a few. Huh?
Better question. Has anybody not asked you about Alabama? Let's talk to you.
I mean, it's incredible. My mom's side of the family is from Alabama, so it's interesting enough.
Wow.
People who haven't even seen me play want to come watch Alabama play. Yeah. So. Yeah, everybody you can think of, including my mother, is asking for some tickets to the Alabama game. But
as a Tallahassee person, I'm sure there's a little bit of a side attraction to the first home game. How forward are you looking to it?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for FAMU to come down here. There'll be a lot of Tallahassee folks that are involved as well. FAMU actually has some colleges here in Tampa.
That's right.
So it's going to be a big crowd for them. I'm excited just to see us, come back and play home and under the lights on a Saturday night and do what we're supposed to do.
Caylee, for the first time, actually, right? You've been here for a couple of years. Got to go on a road trip with the football team. So we all know what happened in the game against Western Kentucky. Really exciting game, Bulls in it. Final score didn't really indicate how it was shaping up to be. How cool was it to be there and sort of take us through it?
It was unreal. I mean, obviously the result wasn't what we wanted, but we showed so much promise on both sides of the ball and so much to be encouraged about. And honestly, just seeing the interactions and the guys and the culture and the coaches, that whole side of it, you could feel it, you could see it. It was pretty special. And even through camp, you know, I don't know if you've noticed, but when you would ask Coach Golesh, like, hey, how's it going? He'll say, like, I'm elite. And my first phone call I ever got from Coach Golesh, came from an unknown number. I didn't have his number yet. And it said Tampa, so I answered it. And the first thing I heard was, Caylee, how are you? I'm like, okay, the voice sounds familiar, but I'm not 100%. So I just played it cool, and I'm like, I'm doing great. How are you doing? And he goes, I'm elite. So I'm like, okay, I'm talking to Coach Golesh. But a couple weeks later, when I talked to the guys in the hall, I asked them how they're doing, and they said, like, we're elite. I'm elite. And, you know, science says the more you say something, the more you believe it. So to see Coach Golesh's mindset be echoed in our players, I feel like culture is an overused word, but that culture is so great to see. It's been super special.
I actually overheard it with a couple of assistants speaking, you know, off to the side, not knowing that I was eavesdropping, which I really wasn't. They said, hey, how are you doing? Elite. That's what I want to hear. So it's not just something they talk about. Elite dresser is BJ Daniels. Elite reporter is Caylee. You're going to see some of her great work here in just a little bit. There was a special event here not too long before the season, a video package on that. We'll also have a chance shortly for myself and BJ Daniels to talk to the head coach, and then we'll get with Doug Blue-Eli. We'll play a little musical chairs. You'll figure it out as we go along. Also, each week we're going to speak to a member of another sport, either a coach or student athlete. This week it's Denise Schilte-Brown, who's got a big-time job awaiting her at the end of her last season with women's soccer. We'll explain. And Sam Barrington's going to be a big part of the show, as he is going to speak with a former player. In this case, Thor Jozwiak, who, if you're not awake already, he will wake you up. So that's kind of the general idea, an hour or so of great South Florida football and more content. So, Coach Golesh coming up in just a few minutes here on Bullseye. Darek Sharp back here on Bullseye with BJ Daniels and, of course, the head coach, Alex Golesh. Granted, this is a talking medium, Coach, but I wanted to say and commend you. You did a great job for talking season. I'm glad that you finally got to coach a game last week, but I can't imagine being a head coach for the first time and having to worry about anything besides hiring a staff, transfer portal, and then doing a bunch of interviews, which I thought you handled well. So I'm sure it was great to get on the field. But was there somebody that helped prepare you for the other parts of the job?
Yeah, I think what 19 years doing this is what prepares you. I think there's still always going to be situations that you're not really ready for, that you thought you were ready for, that keep coming up. But like you said, I think once you get out on the football field, it's just ball at that point, and being in charge of more is a little bit different. But again, I think been a long time to prepare and get yourself ready for it, and it was cool to get to actually be out there with your team and see what it looks like. You know, I think more than anything for our whole staff, you wanted to see what does it actually look like, this 9 months of work, like what's the product actually look like at the end of the day, and then be able to adjust and make corrections and go from there. But I was really encouraged by lead up to that point and what we look like in terms of our willingness to go get it on Saturday.
Yeah, and I'll say this, from an alumni standpoint, it was really exciting just to see the brand of football that was out there, as far as the excitement, the energy. You know, and I can honestly say, you know, despite, you know, protecting the football is what we always want to do, you know, from a quarterback standpoint, but was exciting and very encouraging to see, and I just want to, you know, commend you on that as well for getting that team ready.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. The biggest thing is there are no moral victories, right? You've got to get the results that are expected, which is to win football games here. You were here when that was the standard, and it's back to being the standard. So we got to continue to work to get to a point where the fourth quarter looks better than what it looked like, and regardless of anything else, we got to get to a point where we're winning football games. But like I've said over and over again, you win those games throughout your process, and you win those games throughout the week. And when you're playing good football teams, everything better be right. You got to make sure you hang on to the ball, and you got to make sure you finish drives in the red zone, and you got to stop them on critical downs. And at the end of the day, that's where the difference in the game was.
You mentioned the 19 years thing. Did this feel, however, a little bit different? When did you get to sleep the night before? And describe first time as a head coach, how, if it did, feel a little bit different?
Yeah, you know what? I think more than anything, I was probably just more observant of everything else going on around me, meaning everything from what the travel was and to the structure of the meals, to what was at the meals, to making sure we had enough of what we needed. So more logistical things than I've ever really cared about or thought about. So from a logistics standpoint, more of that. But again, once you get out there to between the white lines and get going within the game, biggest thing that was different was just awareness of when we're on defense. I don't know that I've ever watched defensive football as much as I did on Saturday, or certainly leading up to it. And then just awareness of substitutions and special teams and the use of timeouts and, and decision making with penalties and things that, again, you prepare for. I can't tell you how many mock games and mock situations I've done through the last couple months to make sure I'm ready to roll, and tend to watch games different too now. When you're watching a game, you're like, man, like situationally, how would you handle that? How would I handle that? So once you got going, certainly more observant. You talk about that 48 hours, like you're just more observant of everything and taking more notes on everything, to just try to continue to improve our process and make sure that it's giving our kids the best opportunity to go win.
I tell you, the one thing you mentioned, talking about timeouts. I know you probably have a philosophy. You work with different people. I love using timeouts in the first half, and you got to save them in the second half. That was one thing that I really appreciated, and could tell you've done your homework there. I got to ask about the pace of play, and everyone sees it on the field when they're watching the game or listening to the game, hopefully on the radio. Could you explain, if you can, the communication on the field, sideline, quarterback, and then after, say, a first down play, a successful play, how long would you like to have elapsed, or how little time would you like to see elapsed before the next snap?
Yeah, at the end of the day, our main objective offensively is to control the tempo of the game, being able to speed it up, being able to slow it down, but be in control of it consistently. That's an element of the game that in college you're allowed to do that keeps a defense on edge, right? It keeps a defense off rhythm, keeps a defensive play caller off rhythm on getting a beat and being able to essentially give them the best advantage they can have defensively. So being able to speed it up, slow it down, and at times just continuously play really, really fast, one, to wear those guys out, but two, to create matchups that maybe didn't exist if you weren't going really fast. And so the communication is critical between the call coming in and the quarterback obviously getting it, but really everybody getting it, and having mechanics built in within the system that are ever changing. We're continuously working through mechanics to make sure we're playing as efficiently as we can. There's an element to it, as you saw on Saturday, where there's times where it can be detrimental in the sense that you better be prepared. Certainly at the quarterback position, that, man, the bodies ain't necessarily always going to be where you thought they were. And so, again, us as coaches, putting those guys in those situations to make sure that they're prepared and ready. So year one, game one of a system, you can really evaluate it on a couple of things. One, are you getting a bunch of pre-snap penalties? I was really proud of the fact that we had two. And one was a coaching error on our end, moving a body late that didn't need to be moved, and one was a false start on a tackle, which will happen. You don't want it to happen, but it'll happen. So you're talking about two in year one of a brand new system where it's uniquely different, with a quarterback that's played in 2 games prior to that one. Again, not making an excuse or trying to create any sort of silver lining in the whole deal. Being really honest, that I was really proud of the way they were able to operate. Now, there's a component now where you've got to make sure that it's always being used to your advantage, and so again, for a quarterback, understanding bodies moving in, bodies moving out, like if you need more time, you got to take the time, and so sometimes it's got to slow down for you. the biggest jump we'll make offensively is going to be from game 1 to game 2, because now you've seen it, you've felt it. I think our kids are really encouraged, because you can feel it, especially as a big guy up front. You can feel that guy's not coming off as fast as he was. You know, our offensive line was coming off and saying, "Coach, we can go end these guys. Like we got them. They're tired," and that's what you want. You want that feeling, and as much as you try to simulate it in scrimmages and practice, until you get out there and there's no coaches out there, you feel that tempo and you feel what it's actually like. It's really hard to simulate, and so that's why I'm so excited to get back out there on Saturday again and see the jump we can make from game 1 to game 2.
There's a part of our radio side of things in the post game where, you know, I'm worrying about what I have to do, and I'm listening to what you're saying. One thing I didn't expect was to get hit right in the feels. When you were speaking about, and you've touched on this in the past, guys that chose to stay here. And I could tell it really means a lot to you. You don't have to recreate it here, but to explain why it meant so much to you.
Yeah, you know, you get to a program that obviously had struggled for a couple of years, and I sat there and met with every single guy that was here. And you look another man in the eye, and you know, you either told every one of them, "Man, we'd love for you to stay, or we'd love for you to go." Some chose to go. Some chose to stay. The guys that stayed, I'm just so proud of the fact that they've accepted that, hey, we got to change. We got to do things different. And they've bought in. And then when we said, hey, we're going to bring in 50 new guys, and listen, they're part of us now, and you got to love them like we're telling them they're going to be loved, and you got to bring them in, and you got to teach them what's really good about this place, and we got to get rid of what's really bad about this place. And they've been really, really positive about that. That's why, you know, emotional or not, like I tend to gravitate towards those guys because they bought into us. You know what I mean? They're already agreed at one point to say, man, I want to be a USF Bull. But then they chose again to say, man, I want to ride with this guy. And, you know, that it's no different in recruiting. It's the same in terms of you're selling yourself, you're selling a vision, you're selling a product, you're selling that you're going to take care of these guys. And so it was just encouraging, because some of our best players, some of the guys that made the biggest impact on Saturday were guys that chose to stay. And, you know, they didn't agree to come here to play for me, and they agreed to stay here to play for us. And so that's why I think those guys are I give them a lot of credit, because they fought through a lot of hard. They've had to fight through a lot of crap and a lot of negativity, which I think in today's day and age, in today's culture, it's a lot easier to say, you know what, I'm out. I'm just going to go chase something else. There's something greener somewhere else. And those guys said, no, I'm going to stay, and I know it's going to be hard. And then when it continued to be hard, they still chose to stay. And so that's why there's a special place, I think, in our program for those guys, because they're the ones that we're saying, man, you guys are the ones that are going to change what this is.
Well, I'm going to send it over to Mr. Tallahassee here to look forward to this week's game, because you know a little bit about FAMU, BJ, from being up there, but probably have some questions about what's coming up this week for the coach.
Yeah, so I've had the opportunity to play high school football in Tallahassee, and Willie Simmons was actually my quarterback coach in high school. So, you know, kind of learned how to play the game as a young child, you know, from his perspective. They do a lot of different things on offense. They like to flip formations, run the same plays from different formations just to give you different looks. How do you guys, you know, plan on attacking that or defending that also on defense? Yeah,
I think what Willie's done there is incredible. They built a consistent winner. They play about as hard as anybody on film. You could tell that those guys want to be there. Those guys are being coached extremely hard. And you could see just even with the lack of coaching turnover, you know, coaches have not left there, which is really cool to see. That means they've got a program built. And so in terms of what they do offensively, you know, they in a lot of ways, like us, control the tempo of the game. They can speed it up, slow it down, a bunch of different pictures. Like you said, formationally, they present you with a bunch of different looks to try to create matchups both in the run game and the pass game. I think, a really good challenge because they can beat you both running and passing the football. And so when you've got to be able to play both, where it's not a one-dimensional attack with a quarterback that's a second-year player and with a quarterback that's won a ton of games, it's going to be a confident group. So for us, the energy on defense is real. It's got to be a four-quarter deal because they're coming in here to win the football game. And you know, that's the one thing you look at it, you can always flip the film on and see if they're well coached and if they like being there. And you could see both things are very, very accurate.
Well, that's going to wrap up our first chat with Coach Golesh, who, along with myself, is not even going to attempt to keep up with BJ from a style standpoint. This is how he goes to bed every night. Coach, thank you so much for spending the time.
No, I appreciate it. And by the way, if this wasn't post-practice, I'd look just like BJ.
I believe that. Same. This is what you're getting with me. We'll be back in just a minute.
A lot of coordinated prep and planning goes into road games. I'm Caylee Cottrell, Bulls Insider, and if you've ever wondered what our equipment staff's routine is for away games, I'm here to find out. It's a complex process for the equipment staff on road games. Walk me through from the beginning. What are the first steps?
Yeah, sure. So, initially, it all starts when the schedule actually comes out. We start looking at the schedule, what time of the year we're playing which teams, and planning through that process. As we get closer to the season, it starts in training camp. We look at the semi-truck, unload it, repack everything, then reload it for the game, depending on what we're playing. This week here in Bowling Green, it's hot, so we think about things like fans and tents. We're on turf, so what does that mean? Maybe some extra equipment here and there to kind of make sure the players are comfortable from week to week, really. But it starts on Sunday during the game week. There's a methodical process to it, checking helmets, checking jerseys, making sure everything's dialed in for the team, the coaches, so that when they show up on game day, there's really no distractions. It's a week-long process. It starts on Sunday, but all in all, it's probably a 4 to 5 day process. This week we closed the door at 5 p.m. On Thursday, the truck took off, so it was about a 12-hour drive for them. We actually go to the hotel first, and so there's a lot of things involved with that, and drinks and nutrition and meeting rooms and video, all those different things that don't really pertain to our area, but we help logistically coordinate that and get it offloaded into the hotel. And make sure everything's dialed in there.
And once the truck gets to the stadium, what is that unloading and setup process like?
Yeah, so we're probably here for about 3 hours total the day before. And then game day, as you experienced, we show up well in advance, 5-6 hours, depending on where we're at, depending on a lot of different variables, but that's kind of what it looks like.
What does it take to arrange such a coordinated task?
Patience, a lot of patience. I personally am an emotional roller coaster on the inside. It's kind of like that meme with the duck where it's like kicking really hard under the water, but floating on top. So you just kind of have to prioritize, have patience, understanding.
What's your favorite part about what you do?
I think the payoff and just being involved in so many different aspects of it, seeing players and they're ready to go and zero distractions, and seeing coaches and what you can do with them for them, and then fine-tuning the details and every little piece of it that you get right. Obviously, you're not going to get everything perfect all the time, but it's how you handle that, how you adjust to that to make it perfect the next time.
Very honored to have our first student-athlete guest on Bullseye. It's Doug Blue-Eli from the defensive line, came here from TCU. We want to absolutely get your whole story. People might not know. I don't know if he's the whole reason you came here, but there's a new Bull as well on the other side of the ball that had a lot to do with you coming to South Florida. Tell people who it is.
Naeem Simmons. That was my boy from home. I went to school with him my freshman year, so we definitely had a lot of contact before I came here.
Receiver on the squad, and you got to see him as a freshman in high school. Tell people what, when they see full-on Naeem Simmons, what he's going to be like.
I think he's going to be electric. I think he can do it all. Someone that can do multiple things, punt return, kick return, play wide receiver. When we were younger, he could play every skill position too, so he'll definitely be exciting.
How has that dynamic between you guys evolved from high school to college?
I believe it's not shocking, but it's different. Not different, but I haven't talked to him like deeply in a while. So like getting back and being able to see him every day and talking to him is definitely like something I'm looking forward to. Like I like it so far.
And tell people he played at a school in Jersey, Monmouth. But what is your upbringing as far as being a Jersey guy? Did you grow up there?
Yeah, I grew up in Jersey my whole life. So really, I didn't get out of Jersey until I went to JUCO in New York, and then like I went to TCU. So like I've really been in Jersey my whole life, South Jersey.
You can't like casually just slip TCU past anybody because people know that TCU had a pretty good year last year.
Definitely.
And I know you were injured for it. First of all, obviously you're feeling good now, but what was your injury? And then let's get into what that was like last year.
I tore my rotator cuff in my bicep in a no padded practice. So that would happen like right before the Michigan game. So I was out from I ended up getting surgery like late January, and then from there it was recovery. So that was definitely like shocking.
Now you got to see a lot last year, even
Definitely.
though you were on the sidelines.
Yep.
I can't imagine that you guys started off the season going, all right, we're going to go undefeated, we're going to play for national championship game. When did you start to feel like, wait a second, this is looking pretty good?
It's kind of crazy to say. I believe when we got there, it's like I got there, I think that we all knew what we had in the room, but it's like when will you put it together and when will it all gel together to, week by week, just take it game by game. And as we started like winning, it's like, yeah, we're winning. And then it's like, big games where you expect to win and you dominate them games, then everyone's believing, thinking the same thing. And then from there, it was just kept going. So
It went pretty far.
Yeah,
It went pretty
definitely.
far. What about like before college? When did you, become a football player? Were you?
I started, I'd say, at around like 5, like really young, to where I was just thrown out there. And at first, I didn't really. I'm gonna be honest. At first, I liked football, but I wasn't a big football guy. So like I played basketball and all them other things. So like I was like, I'll key into like other sports, and then later down the line, I got bigger. It's like football is meant for me. So ended up like, yeah, definitely.
What's your first memory with a football?
Going way
played-
back?
Yeah, way
I was
back.
first time. I think my first number was like 81, and I was like a safety. That's the first thing I remember, and that's crazy to say.
Wait
Yeah.
a second. Let's you're supposed to keep up a pretty good weight as a defensive lineman. We'll get into how you keep it, by the way. But when did you progress into defensive line, physique?
I'd say probably like going into middle school. I started picking up weight and like really fast, and I had the good height. So like I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe I am a D lineman, D tackle.
Did you have to take it easy on them little kids, or
Yeah, and when I was younger in like midget little league, I used to like get left out of the hitting drills because I used to be bigger than a lot of them. So
That's what I'm talking about.
yeah.
Now, Caylee, you get to see a little bit more as far as the official, and definitely got to get into this, training regimen of the team from a keep your weight, from a food standpoint.
Yeah.
It's astonishing.
Even this last game, Western Kentucky, after the game, we board the bus, 2 sandwiches in each of the boxes, mac and cheese, a cookie. It was about, a little trip to the airport. We get to the airport, another full spread of burritos and snacks.
Yeah.
What does a day look like for you? And because I'm curious, how many calories do you consume in a day?
Calories wise, I can't really say. I just know I eat at least like 4 times a day at least. So
Yeah.
I like to eat between meals too. So
What's the go-to meal?
Chipotle.
Okay.
Very nice.
Okay, I like it.
I mean,
Protein.
we're not about putting people on Front Street. We would never do that unless you want to. And I would ask, who among the defensive line can put it away, like at breakneck pace, like world record pace?
That's
Like,
a
where
good
did your food go so and so? Who would be that guy? Unless it's you.
I would definitely say, out of all the people I've seen so far, I say Cheney can definitely eat. So
He didn't just talk well. He puts that mouth to good use when it comes to eating the food.
Definitely.
I got the people that are watching that have been Bulls fans for a while know a lot about Kevin Patrick, KP, your position coach, and he gets me energized just hearing him. What did he have to? Was he part of your coming down here? Was it just Naeem Simmons? And,
No.
and what sold you from him?
Definitely KP. I've talked to KP in the past before too. So like just in general, when he approached me, and in general, like I definitely like felt the energy from the visit to just talking to him on the phone or whatever the case may be. So he was definitely the biggest reason I came here. Like someone that I trusted and wanted to play for and could take my game to the next level. So yeah, I definitely like KP.
He's awesome. And then you just talked about some of the stuff that brought you here. And we spoke to you a few weeks ago, and it sounded like you guys were prepared. It looked like you guys were prepared. I know there's probably some things that you wanted to improve upon, maybe get some sacks, that kind of thing. But you guys got off the field. How important was that stress to you getting off the field? Because you got off the field 5 times, 4 times 3 and outs in the first half. How do you think you guys actually played once it got onto the field?
I believe we did a lot of good things. We did some, some, I wouldn't say bad things, but some things we can improve on. So just in general, though, I think we definitely stopped the run and forced them to throw the ball a lot. So getting them 3 and outs was like our main goal. So that was definitely important. So
That's impressive.
What was the culture like on the field? That first run out as a team, what was that like?
I can't even really explain it. I just know like just excited, really.
Yeah.
So definitely.
Well,
Super
especially
special.
for a guy that you just mentioned what your injuries were in the past. I mean, how did you feel physically during the game? Could you have gone forever? And how did you feel afterwards, I guess, is the real question.
I definitely felt good. I believe, I played a good amount of snaps. So like after the game, I felt good too. But in general, I think I just coming off the injury, I think I've definitely like adjusted, and I think I'm back to normal as far as like playing wise,
Well, when people are seeing Doug, in your word, back to normal, what can they look forward to? I know people don't like bragging on themselves, but what do you feel you can do?
I believe I'm just a run stopper. I know that's what I'm big on. So like I believe like no matter who we're against, I believe I'm gonna stop the runner. They're gonna be someone in the middle that's not running from anything. So
Big number 13, right?
Definitely.
When did you become a 13 guy? Because not everybody would gravitate. I mean, that might be the last number they pick. The 13 is not supposed to be lucky, but you look good in it.
It was really either 5 or 13 between me and Trammell. It was either who he gets 5, I get 5. So like really it just came down to him getting 5, and I was like, I like 13, so I'm gonna make that my new number. Yeah, definitely.
That's your thing.
And now being pretty new to Tampa, do you have a favorite thing about the Bay Area yet?
It's crazy to say. I haven't really went out much. I'm really like the type of guy that likes to, sit in the house and, do things. I don't like to go out as much, but so far now I haven't seen like much, but yeah.
Well, that'd been perfect for you then, staying in a team hotel. I want to ask you about that as we wrap it up here, because people might not realize this. Between camp and school, basically, you guys stayed away for a while. Was that something you'd never done before, and how did that work out?
It's something I never did before, but over time, I quickly got adjusted to it. So like the hotel was cool and everything, so I kind of like this like structure. So yeah.
But you're now fully in class, right?
Definitely, yeah.
You're ready to roll.
Yep.
Hey, thanks for being our first guest, Doug.
Thank you. Appreciate
Doug,
it.
Thank
Blue-Eli, former TCU Horned Frog. Yeah, man, my man's got some good reach, obviously. We'll continue with more Bullseye next.
Welcome back to Bullseye. This is Sam Barrington. Today's guest in our alumni series that will feature a new alumni every week is Thor Jozwiak. Man, you got to have the coolest name that I ever heard for an offensive lineman. How you doing today?
Hey, Sam, man, it's good to see you. Appreciate you guys having me. The name is always great. Got to thank my parents for that, but thank goodness that I turned out to be a decent player. Every time those all name teams come out, I still got some juice with that. So appreciate you guys having me. Very excited to be here talking USF football, man. Super excited about this upcoming season, but really appreciate you guys having me. It is truly an honor.
Now you're a guy that's obviously not a stranger to this platform. You spent a decent amount of time on the radio before I got here on the broadcast team. But what are you doing now? Talk to us about where you are today. Obviously, many people know, but tell the people who don't know what Thor is doing today and how you're changing the lives of so many young men on the high school level.
Absolutely. So I'm the current head coach at Clearwater High School, the real CHS. We are the Tornadoes. Been here for 5 years, 2 years as an assistant coach, and this is going into my 3rd year as the head coach here of the program. just got a big win last week, overtime victory. So that's what we're trying to do here. All the things that I learned at South Florida, so many coaches, you take all of those guys and you throw them into a toolbox and you try to formulate your philosophies and your brand, and you try to teach that to the next generation of this game. So that's exactly what we're doing here at Clearwater. I have 2 former USF alumni that are also with me, Jermaine Clemens and Otis Dixon on staff. So we're definitely trying to have that solid South Florida connection and here in the Tampa Bay area. And we're using the things that we learned at South Florida, and we're instilling those same values here at the high school level.
Thor, that's amazing. Now, I'm 32 years old. I'm doing my math. You came in a few years after me.
Yep,
so
I'm 30.
How'd you find yourself on the high school coaching circuit as a head coach 3 years ago, which would make you 27 when you got the job?
Yes, sir.
What has that been like, and how do you think your age plays a role with your ability to connect with your guys, if at all?
100%. So being so young, my dad, he was a consensus All-American first-round draft pick out of West Virginia. I got his picture right here behind me. But he was a coach in this state for years. He was my coach in high school. He put 25 years in at the high school level. So, I was a water boy on the sidelines at a young age. So football's in me. And once I got done playing, there was a void within me that I needed to get back to the game. So coaching, hands down, was the first and foremost thing that I wanted to get back into, especially at this level, because you get to really impact the lives of young men and try to, if they want to go play college football, hey, here's what you need to do to get there. Now, with that being said, times have changed, and I think that's where sometimes my age helps me. There's been a complete culture shift in the world of football, not only college, but in high school. So to have and to be able to adapt, one of the things that we talk about on the football field, in order to adapt and overcome and then move forward. Same thing is happening within the game of football with the transfer portal and, NIL, developing a brand, having something to offer. These are all new philosophies within the game that you can go and you can really take advantage of from high school to college. So having that age being a little bit closer has helped in that relationship, but still the standard is high. So it's definitely helped, but man, I'm just loving where I'm at right now and using these things that I learned at South Florida to instill into these young men to help them not only in football, but also in life.
That's amazing, Thor. Now, before I let you go, right, when your guys first found out that you were at the epicenter of one of the I'm sorry, not one of, but the highest performing offense that USF has ever had in the history of football, the offense that gained the most yards and you blocked for arguably, the best quarterback in USF history, in Quinn Flowers, and the best running back, Marlon Mack. How'd your guys feel about that? And how do you use that experience to show these guys how to compete and measure what the standard of greatness is?
Absolutely. Blocking for those guys was fantastic. You just had to crease something and Marlon would hit it. And, throw another guy in there that I always talk about was Dearness Johnson.
Wow.
When you had a three-headed monster back there. So most of the time it made our job very easy. But still, there was we put it on ourselves, that starting 5 offensive line. A lot of people don't know, but we would take advantage of having the film room, and we would have O-line meetings, just us, and we would watch film on opponents, and we would watch film on ourselves because we wanted to bring it back to what it was in 08, 07, 08, where USF was up there, man. So it took a lot of time and a lot of energy, but to be blocking for a Quentin Flowers, who, I don't think he gets enough credit at the national level for the things that guy did in college football. Marlon Mack, who's had a great NFL career, Dearness, who's had a great career as well. It made it easy for us up front, but we also wanted those guys to shine because they are mentioned in those words. One of the greatest quarterbacks, one of the greatest running backs. You can't do that stuff without offensive line. So for when they get credit, for us, it is, that group that was together up front, that's credit, and that's all that we need as an offensive lineman is. But with my guys, it helps that I can pull up highlights on YouTube. I can say, hey, you guys want to see what this should look like? Here you go. To be able to play into that is huge, because it shows them that, this isn't a lie. This is legitimate. And these are the things that we had to do to get back to this level. These are the things that were required to play at that sort of level. So it's been a blessing to be a part of that. And I'm super happy for those guys. And I'm happy about what we were able to accomplish at South Florida.
Yeah. Such a selfless guy, Thor. I really respect what you're doing. I'm happy for you. And hey, you guys can count me as a fan, okay?
I appreciate it, Sam. Hey, I appreciate you guys having me. I know we took a tough one on the chin, but if I know Coach Golesh and had a couple conversations with him, the Bulls are going to get back on the right track. And the one thing I can tell you, if you're a fan watching, man, go out and support them guys. No matter what, you got to be locked in as a fan and go out there and support them dudes at Raymond James Stadium, because that's what is fed. And we got a home opener against FAMU coming up. Man, go out there and support them guys, and that's going to really get them going.
So powerful, Thor. Thank you for your time this morning, okay?
Absolutely, Sam.
We'll catch you next time.
All right, baby. Hey, go Bulls, baby.
It's definitely a humbling experience, just seeing the adversity that they go through every day. And they're still able to pursue their dreams and their goals. And that humbles us in a way. It's like, man, you can't take the stuff that we have for granted. That we're very blessed to be where we are right now.
We had people come from the Special Olympics, and we was able to give them the opportunity that that we get every day. So it was just a great opportunity to put smiles on their faces.
Yup. He's open!
A great group of young men committed to making a difference. What does it mean to the team to be able to spend some time with this group here today?
I think it gives them a chance to get away from football for a second and just kind of reflect on really how fortunate they are, and gives them a chance to give back and share their love for the game with some really cool athletes.
They're here touring the facilities, the indoor, the new IPF locker room, and just having a good time, running them through some drills, getting to meet the players or the coaches and all that kind of stuff. It's coming out the camp. We've been going at it each day and every day, and it's like all this aggression built up. And just to end it this way, I definitely feel like the team really needed this. And just to be able to see them smile, that puts smiles on our faces as well. We all come from, different situations. And, some dudes on the team have, siblings and things like that who participate in the Special Olympics as well. And just to be able to, bring that into the environment and be able to come together around it, it definitely means a lot to us.
I love seeing these kids get an opportunity. I really like their smiling, and it makes me happy too.
Well, this is a first. It actually is a first. The first guest, non-football, on our new show, Bullseye. And of course, this person right here, Denise Schilte-Brown, had to be the guest. First of all, thanks for taking time. I know you were flipping and flopping around your schedule, and you wanted to make time. I really do appreciate it.
Absolutely. And the inaugural guest, who wouldn't make time?
Well, the Bullseye is on women's soccer, one of the sports that is going on right now, and we're certainly going to talk about your team, but let's start off with the news. And I know you mentioned it to me before, but for those who don't know, this is going to be your last year here at USF.
Yeah.
And you are headed to the USL,
yeah,
the Super League. Explain, first of all, my reaction when I heard it was happening. It was like, wow, how is she going to do both? And then it set in that, oh, that's right, she's going to leave here. So it was a tough decision, but what was it that got you to even consider leaving South Florida?
Yeah, what an opportunity, right? I'm super excited that we're creating this access for women across the country. There's like thousands and thousands of young girls playing soccer, and it's the largest sport in the country for women, and we have one pro league that does not, create half as much access as the men. And it's interesting, there is no professional women's sports in Tampa Bay. Think about all the men in Tampa Bay that get to be a professional athlete, and there's not one that's a woman.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You got to change that.
I get to change that. I get to be a part of that, and I'm super excited about it. I love USF. I've loved my time here, and I feel super blessed that Michael Kelly let me stay on for my final season. And I'm really focused on the here and now so that we can have an amazing season, our best season ever, hopefully. And then I'll turn my attention to, those next steps.
Well, for people who don't know, it will be your 17th season, and I was flashing back, and we'll get into your playing career.
Okay.
Joey Johnson wrote a great article on GoUSFBulls.com.
Yeah, he's so great.
Some things that I didn't even know about you. Now we're going to share with the people. First of all, you have teenage twins, so how were they when you started here? I mean, you had a lot going on.
Are they called teenagers now? They're like little adults for sure. It's crazy. They were like 3.
Okay.
And they were just so cute, Kenza in her princess dress, and
if
Ethan
you're watching, you're
around.
still cute.
Yeah, they were so cute. And I remember recruiting. We had that, what's it called? The wagon, the red wagon.
Yeah.
We recruited at the Disney tournament with them in their red wagon, and we had their iPads, and they were the cutest thing ever. And then time flies, fast forward, and now they're young adults, and they make us proud every day. They're doing a great job.
Well, if you're watching this and saying, wait a second, if she's been around here for 17 years, what was she, a teenager when she took the job? Because she looks so young.
Oh, wow.
But you actually pretty much were right out of high school and college when you took your first coaching gig. Explain to people how quickly that happened. Maryland, Baltimore County, you were a retriever, and basically the other team's goalies were retrieving the ball out of the net half the time because you had, 55 goals, 23 in one season, but quickly became a coach. How did that happen?
I'm Canadian, and in Canada, you don't have that same opportunity to make a living as a coach. It was crazy when I asked my college coach, what's your job? Like, what do you do for a living? And she told me that this was her job. Once I put that together, I was like, oh, well, I have the rest of my life figured out now. So, that was exciting. I remember calling my parents, breaking the news, I'll never live in Canada again. And they were so sad. But yeah, I loved my experience as a student athlete. I loved soccer. I couldn't really picture myself in a different profession. People would always ask me, what are you getting your degree in? I have my degree in economics, but Chris pays the bills, so.
That would be Chris Brown, by the way, great assistant head coach, but also happens to be husband of Denise.
So then I just, I spent a lot of time with my coach. I loved my coach at UMBC. She was a great role model, great person. And she let me do things. I went on a recruiting trip with her. I brought in another player, one of my friends that I thought could impact the team, and she did. And I just enjoyed it. And then my senior year, she left, and I had asked the athletic director to hire me. And he said, you're crazy. And I said, okay, well then interview me. I deserve an interview. Give me an interview. And he said, no, neither. You're too young.
Wow.
And he said, but if the job ever opens up again, we'll consider you. I'm like, oh, okay. So I went away to play pro.
Turn the page.
Yeah, I went away, and I went to play professional for a couple of years, and I came back. And sure enough, the job opened up, and he called me. And he said, where's your resume? I was like, are you serious? So I applied. I was only 23 years old.
That is crazy.
I still had girls on the team that I played with. So I came in for the interview.
And we're better than, by the way. She won't say it.
Wow. I came in on the interview, and he said, I never intended on giving you this job, but I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to help you, mentor you, or all the coaches are going to help you because you're really young, but let's go. So I got the job at 23. I had to coach players I played with, which was such a cool experience, and I loved it from day one. I feel like God, helped me, and that's been my calling.
And then you went from being a retriever to a Ram at Virginia Commonwealth.
Yes.
From a Ram to a Bull. By the way, the new pro team doesn't have a name yet.
Yeah.
So I'm going to throw some out. I know that the USL is associated
Well, here we go. Listen up, USL. These are Derek's.
The male team is the Rowdies, so I'm thinking maybe
Howdies.
No?
Oh, that's terrible.
There's so many bad names that I could throw out words to do that. But as far as ending up here, and we're talking about you playing pro for a couple years,
Yeah.
and now you're going to be coaching.
Yeah.
Let's give people an update on some recent Bulls that are playing professional. If you played
Oh my
for the
gosh.
Bulls, you're going
Yeah.
to end up maybe going pro. I know that Kiri left early, but for a good
Amazing.
opportunity.
Yeah.
So for people that are, know a little bit about the recent rosters of the team,
Yeah.
give them an update in general of how people are doing. And
I mean,
overseas, obviously.
Yeah. Chris and I have always had this philosophy that we wanted our players in our program here at USF to see a pathway to pro and to dream about it. So we always try to empower them to think about those next steps. When our freshmen come in, they come in with a highlight reel. Like, we make them bring one with them. We use it for visualization, and we use it in different capacities. But then we try to build on that. And we actually have them build their soccer resume. We have contacts all over the world. But, it's one of our, our programming that next step for you, that there's an option for you to play,
Very
and
cool.
yeah, it's really cool. And so I think we're one of the programs in the country that turns out the most pros. There's always a place for everybody at that next level, and we think it helps them. It makes your world a little bit bigger, makes your contacts a little bit bigger, and you have a limited time that we get to use this, body in that capacity.
That's very true.
So we try to, talk to them about that, and so they're pretty excited. And now we have, probably over 100 that have gone on to play pro, and
That's
there's
amazing.
tons still impacting the game. I mean, in the World Cup, we had 3 in the World Cup, and Kiri just left to go play pro. And I mean, Demi Stokes is like a legend at Man City, which
Right.
is unbelievable. She's got a little boy now. She's a role model for women everywhere. She's on the on the internet, always promoting women and empowering us. So she's been amazing. Olivia Chance has been amazing. She's been an impact player for Celtic. Came back, represented in the World Cup, and then Trudy Carter never leaves the game somehow.
Unreal.
She
Making
is
it to the knockout stage, right?
Yeah.
At Jamaica. That was tremendous.
So, we have so many out there. I mean, Christiana Endler is was touted the best goalkeeper in the world, which I have a very funny story about that. Tiani was playing here, and we were going to Texas. And when you go to play at Texas, the Longhorn station always interviews you before. And they said, what do you think about the matchup and whatnot? And I said, I like it. And they were like, oh really? I said, I think I have the best goalkeeper in the world, at least in our age group, on my team. So I feel pretty good about that. And the announcers were appalled. They were like, do you know who you're playing against? I was like, no. Who? Please enlighten me. They're like, Abby Smith is our goalkeeper. She is the U20 national team goalkeeper. Are you trying to tell us right now here on this station that your goalkeeper is better? I was like, 100% she's better.
Yes.
And they were like, wow, that's a bold statement, So anyways,
How dare you?
Yeah, we go into the game. We're winning 1-0. I feel like we're in good control of the game. And this is where it goes wrong for me.
Don't tell me.
There's a free kick for Texas just over halfway.
Oh.
So very, very far from the goal. Abby Smith takes the free kick.
No, she doesn't.
She does, because she can smash a ball. She's a great goalkeeper. Steps up, smashes a ball. Tiani comes out to catch the ball. And at easy catch, at the last minute.
Surely she
drops,
makes the catch.
Right. Just moves her eyes, and it bobbles, drops to the ground, and the girl runs in, hits it. We end up tying 1-1. It is on ESPN's top worst plays ever with my quote. So the goal going in and my quote.
Tiani, how you doing? Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Anyways,
she turned out to be okay though.
She ended up in the next World Cup, stoned the U.S. in the game, saved so many goals, and was touted and awarded the best goalkeeper in the world. And I'm like, can ESPN replay that now?
I tell you, you've got some players on your team that I'm not a talent scout, but
Yeah.
I would be jumping on as far as a professional career. Viv,
Yeah,
being one,
she's
she was just
great.
named one of the top 100 players in the country. And
Yep.
for people that usually follow soccer, they look at stats and goals. But explain
True.
what makes her so good as a defender.
Oh my gosh, she's incredible. She's a pillar of confidence. She believes in herself on and off the field. She's a strong woman. And when she goes out on the field, she does look like a woman among girls. Yep. She's thinking 2 steps ahead. She intercepts a lot of balls. She tackles at the right time. Her range of pass is unbelievable. I mean, there's not many women that can hit a 60-yard ball accurately. And she can hit the ball with both feet. She's smart. When defenders can break lines consistently, that means, there's layers of the offense or of the, opponent.
Right.
And she can break lines with her passes where we're like beating them because of her entry balls, and she does a great job of that. She's really dangerous on set pieces and consistent.
There needs to be a hockey assist rule in soccer. Is there? Can you have 2 assists?
You can, and I always try to get it.
Okay.
I actually try to tell the announcers the other person so that my players are getting the reward because they work so hard.
Well, because she does really start things like that. And it's intentional, like you just explained.
But sometimes they go, okay, thanks, Denise, but then I don't see it coming up on
listening.
the stats. Yeah, exactly.
And one final thing. I do, as I was calling the game against Alabama A&M not too long ago, and at one moment, none were in the starting lineup, but it's half the roster was Tampa Bay kids. So I know that's something that is, if you're maybe a future Bull, come on, stay in the Bay kind of thing. It's not just a football slogan.
There's a lot of talent in Florida, a lot of great coaches now, a lot of talent. We're really excited about the girls that stayed this season in Tampa Bay. And yeah, there was a ton on the field the other night. I mean, I think we ended the game with 7 freshmen playing on the pitch. That was very exciting.
Well, I know you got some exciting games coming up, and we'll talk more down the line. But thanks for being our first guest on Bullseye. You nailed the bullseye. And
thank you.
I know I didn't nail the team names for the USL.
You were close.
Maybe next time.
Go Bulls.
So mark it down, each Thursday a new episode of Bullseye, and that means we've already worn green. I'm wearing green a day later than you're actually officially supposed to. Before we wrap it up here, just so you guys know, Wear Green Wednesday is a new thing. And of course, that means BJ Daniels has kind of a green tinge to his suit.
Always killing it, always.
Do you at least take off the shoes before you go to bed with your 3-piece suit?
No, man. I usually have my vest, but I ain't wear it today.
Mm-hmm. It's a great idea. Now, you're going to be hanging around the stadium, I'm sure, on Saturday. What is a game day like for you, and how forward are you looking to the home opener?
Yeah, game days are crazy. I first and foremost have to take care of my family, make sure they're all parked and inside the stadium, but making sure donors are taken care of, with whatever it is they may need. Dealing with fans and still trying to be personable and sign autographs and take pictures and just show my face and be out there and just, show the team that I'm still behind them and supporting them. Through no matter what. So, a lot of these young men on the team come to my office and talk to me about a lot of different things that they may be going through during their college experience. So, just still being there, able to, talk to them and then show face and let them not just see me or hear me talking to them, but see me in person as well.
It's funny you mention autographs because my philosophy on autographs is just please ask me for one, man. Just once. It'd be great. It doesn't have to be Saturday. It can be anytime. Yeah. It's definitely not an elephant in the room. It's this huge building we haven't mentioned yet. So let's go ahead. And I know what went into getting this IPF to be a reality. How cool is it that we can just casually have this as our backdrop?
Well, yeah. I mean, I have to be honest. I'm extremely jealous because I didn't have the opportunity to participate or practice in this beautiful building. But the J.D. Porter Indoor Practice Facility is it's amazing. I love the fact it's air conditioned. You have the opportunity to continue to prepare throughout the week, even with crazy weather. I tell everyone the story of, when I was playing here and we were getting ready to play Rutgers on a Friday night. It's cold in New Jersey, but it's raining in Tampa on a Wednesday. So we missed a day of practice just trying to prepare, for a team that we weren't even going to play in those same elements. So, having this indoor facility is a big deal.
And there was a hurricane before the opener. They didn't miss a practice, so that's a perfect example.
Yeah.
Caylee, looking forward to the home opener. By the way, on the radio side, we'll be on the air at 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock kickoff. So I don't know about you as far as early kicks or night kicks. I'm happy it's going to be a night kick.
I love it.
How excited are you about this?
I'm so stoked. Even this past away game, our section of USF fans that traveled, hearing them cheer and hearing them chant USF, I just can imagine this Saturday, cool. Back at home at Ray J. I'm so excited.
Well, you guys, awesome job. First time out of the gate. It's only going to get better. We are going to be more elite. Eliter is not a word. That's what we'll try for next week. Thanks,
Love
guys.
it. Thank you.
Darek Sharp for Caylee and BJ. This has been the first episode of Bullseye. Horns up.